Mayor, would you like to proceed?
Yes, please.
Good evening. This is the meeting of the Borough of Highlands Mayor and Council regular meeting on Wednesday, July 16, 2025. The notice requirements provided for in the Open Public Meetings Act have been satisfied. Notice of this meeting was properly given by transmission to the Asbury Park Press and the Two River Times, and by posting at the Borough of Highlands Municipal Building and filing with the Borough Clerk all on January 1st, 2025. Items listed on the agenda are subject to change. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I will now do roll call. Councilmember Cervantes. Councilman Schlack.
Here.
Councilor Melnick. Here. Council President Chesky. Here. Mayor Bruin.
Here.
Thank you. First, we have approval of minutes, June 18, 2025, meeting minutes.
I'll offer.
Councilmember Schlack.
Yes.
Councilor Melnick. Council President Chesky. Abstain. Mayor Bruin.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries to approve June 18, 2025 meeting minutes. Next, we have June 18, 2025 executive session minutes.
I will offer.
I will second.
Councilmember Schlack.
Yes.
Councilor Melnick.
Yes.
Council President Chesky. Abstain. Mayor Bruin.
Yes.
Motion carries to approve June 18, 2025 executive session minutes. Next, we have public hearing on proposed ordinance O2512, amending Chapter 3, General Police Regulations, Section 3-1, litter prohibitions of the Code of the Borough of Highlands.
Do we have any questions from the table on this ordinance and the changes?
No.
Of the definition of litter?
Not again, no.
Okay.
Last month was good.
Open it to the public. Does anyone in the gallery have any questions regarding this, the changes in this ordinance? No. Okay, saying nothing, I'll close the public hearing, and I'll offer this ordinance. I'll second.
Councilman Schlack.
Yes.
Councilor Melnick.
Yes.
Council President Chesky.
Yes.
Mayor Bruin.
Yes.
Motion carries O2512 passed on second and final reading. Next, we have O2513, removing restricted parking space in front of residence previously occupied by a person with disabilities.
Any question on this one? This is the resident who moved out of town.
Nope.
Okay. I will ask the public if you have any comments on this one. No? Okay. I'll close the hearing there, and I will offer this ordinance. I'll second.
Councilmember Schlack.
Yes.
Councilor Melnick.
Yes.
Council President Chesky. Yes. Mayor Bruin.
Yes.
Motion carries. O2513 passed on second and final reading. Next, we have O2514, amending Chapter 3, General Police Regulations, Section 3-21, wildlife feeding of the Code of the Borough of Highlands.
No question.
Any questions from the public on this public hearing? No? Okay, then we'll close the hearing. I'll offer. Okay.
Second.
Councilmember Schlack.
Yes.
Councilor Melnick.
Yes.
Council President Chesky.
Yes.
Mayor Bruin.
Yes.
Motion carries. O2514 passed on second and final reading. Next, we have introduction of proposed ordinance O2515, amending Chapter 11, Uniform Fire Code, Section 11-5.1, appointment and qualifications of the fire official, and Section 11-5.2, appointment and qualifications of inspectors and other employees of the Code of the Borough of Highlands.
And this is just updating that the fire official shall be, instead of certified, he shall now be licensed, he or she rather, shall now be licensed according to the New Jersey Uniform Fire Safety Act in both of those subsections of this ordinance.
So that's state mandate in terms of changing that language, going from certified to licensed? Just curious as to
Mr. Bowl, would you
the
care to?
distinction.
It's just making it consistent with the terms used in the in the Fire Safety Act.
Sure. Thank you.
Is there a big difference, or it's saying the same thing in different words? More or less?
Basically.
I think licensed has more impact to it, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Then I will offer that.
I'll second.
Councilman Schlack.
Yes.
Councilor Melnick.
Yes.
Council President Chesky.
Yes.
Mayor Bruin.
Yes.
Motion carries to pass O2515 on first reading with a public hearing to be held on August 20th, 2025. Next, we have O 2516, amending Chapter 7A, traffic schedules, Schedule IA, no parking during certain hours of the Code of the Borough of Highlands related to areas of no parking on both sides of Waterwitch Avenue.
Go ahead.
I was just going to offer it. Sure.
Just before we move forward, the intent here to increase circulation and traffic there?
Yes, what's been happening is people just park there all day
Yep.
long and never leave, and then the
the
businesses
businesses
don't
there.
get any traffic, so,
Yep.
or it's harder for them
Makes sense.
to get.
So it's just a 1 hour.
It's a 1 hour time limit between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m.
And that's good enough for me. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. So Karen
I'll
offered.
offer it.
I'll second. Councilmember Chouak?
Yes.
Councilor Melnick?
Yes.
Council President Chesky?
Yes.
Mayor Bullock?
Yes.
Motion carries to pass O 2516 on first reading with a public hearing to be held on August 20th, 2025. Next, we have resolutions. R 25-146, governing body certification of the annual audit.
I will offer that.
Second.
Councilmember Chouak?
Yes.
Councilor Melnick?
Yes.
Council President Chesky? Yes. Mayor Bullock?
Yes.
Motion carries to adopt resolution R 25-146. Next, we have consent agenda. Mayor, would you like me to read the resolutions by title?
Yes, please.
R 25-147.
Sure. Go ahead. Let's see, on R 25-149, I'd like to do that separately.
You want to remove that from the consent agenda?
Correct.
Okay, I will second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Let's do that first. R 25-149, declaring opposition to the construction of the Williams-Hansco Northeast Supply Enhancements Pipeline.
I will offer it.
I'll second.
Councilmember Chouak?
No.
Council, Member Melnick?
Yes.
Council President Chesky?
Yes.
Mayor Brulan?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries to adopt resolution R 25-149. Next, we have consent agenda. Mayor, would you like me to read the resolutions by title?
Yes, please.
R 25-147, authorizing employee salary increase. R 25-148, authorizing employee salary increase. R 25-150, increasing the bid threshold for contracts subject to public bidding under the local publics contract law. R 25-151, authorizing payment of bills. R 25-152, authorizing an extension to pay taxes to August 22nd, 2025. R 25-153, providing for the insertion of a special item of revenue in the budget pursuant to NJSA 40A:4-87, Chapter 159, PL 148, public and private revenues offset by appropriations. R 25-154, providing for the insertion of a special item of revenue in the budget pursuant to NJSA 40A:4-87, Chapter 159, PL 148, public and private revenues offset by appropriations.
I'll offer these consent agenda.
Second.
Councilmember Chouak?
Yes.
Council Melnick?
Yes.
Council President Chesky?
Yes.
Mayor Brulan?
Yes.
Motion carries to adopt resolutions R 25-147 minus R 25-149, and so that's through R 25-154. Next, we have other business, CRS presentation, invest in Highlands, and Forerunner FAQs.
Yeah, let me get my engine started here. If you don't know me, I'm Kathleen Shaw, and I'm working on the community rating system and the Forerunner floodplain platform for us to comply with our land use ordinance, Chapter 21, for floodplain management regulations. Let's see. So, where I am going to start with is, let me just get myself back here. Okay. What has been happening with floodplain is that we obviously have a tremendous window of opportunity with the redevelopment area on Bay Avenue, 151 properties that could make a tremendous change with floodplain compliance, with new structures and new investment. So part of the strategy was, if no one knows that we have a redevelopment area and that we actually have design guidelines to show compliance, we're not really cooking with propane here. So the goal was to partner with Highlands Business Partnership that does a tremendous amount of marketing and create a web page on their page, which we have done. It's on the screen. Let me see. I can get this down. It's called Invest Highlands. So when you go to Highlands, it's obviously you can go to the borough site, and the intent of this is so that we can cross-market the fact that for investors don't always go to municipalities to look for things. Sometimes they look at the marketing and the tourism, what's happening in the town. So I like to call this as, an opportunity to cross-pollinate. So in their website for Highlands Business Partnership, with all the marketing and the events, we now have a page that says Invest in Highlands. The end game, before I go through all this, is the fact that on our business page for the Borough of Highlands, where there's information for mercantile and everybody to get started with a new business, this link will be there. So we'll be kind of cross-marketing the fact that we have these opportunities. And it includes Forerunner. I was excited that we were able to, really include everything in there. So they, of course, have these, picture rotators. I mean, it's got a lot of I'm looking at, this is bells and whistle lady here with adding a rotator to our website here. But we're able to showcase a lot of stuff that I think gets anybody I've shown this to, they get excited. Now, just to backtrack before I go, all the fun things that we've put on here is on June 23rd, I attended, Councilwoman Chilek was there that evening at Off the Hook, the Highlands Business Partnership Board meeting. And we showcased this to all of the board members so that they would understand that, we have all these tools available. Some of them have, this is like God and country, some of them have paid attention to it, some of them have passed them by. But I think we made a splash, with all that evening. So to go to, Invest in Highlands, which is, it's on their, I call it the ribbon, or their choices for where you're going to find information about events or marketing. And let's see, I'm sorry, I'm not used to this keyboard, my young fingers here, I'm sorry. So where it starts is with this first, which is what Highlands is when you look at the body of planning information. It's a nautical, historic, and it's got transit, it's got a ferry service that has a plethora of ridership. So we're identifying, these are our investment strategies. It's a nautical transit village. So the thing with an investor, I've done this a lot in my career, is like, where do they find the meat and potatoes of what they're looking for? Do they want to look through a 43-page redevelopment plan? Some may not. So what we did is, this is like, I like to think of it as the Cliff Notes. So when you go to the very first link under strategies, what you're getting is, this is the design guidelines. You've seen this before, presented it. It's available for investors. I've had a lot of investors look at it. It gives them ideas of how they can understand floodplain compliance. Let's see. It talks about the history of where Highlands has been with all of its planning, and it furthermore goes into some drawings and sketches. If you haven't looked at it, I strongly suggest that you look at it. It's a great, resource tool. Monmouth County Planning Board, has approved this. The state has sent it out as a model in the state for this type of investing in a floodplain. So additionally, what's included in this long document is some conceptual ideas. You'll see up there, there's a building in Seabright that's existing, and then there's a concept building for here. So when you go to that first tab, you know, you're going to get the whole plan, and it's going to be right there at your fingertips. Then we also added the Bay Avenue redevelopment plan. We're not going to open all this up. You've seen it. There it is. Somebody can go to the whole, I call it guacamole. They can look at everything. It's right there. So that's at their fingertips. And then, let's see. Sorry, my fingers. We've got the Bay Avenue properties by address. So if somebody's looking, instead of going through the whole plan, these are the properties, the low-hanging fruit, that are available for investment. You know, they're right on there. So that's an easy reference. And then additionally, I'll go back here. We're then looking at how to submit an application, which is the borough's website. Nancy Tran and I labored over this so that we get it out there with the redevelopment plan, so somebody knows, how do I apply, how do I do this, how do I get to first base? So that is a quick link on there for an investor. And then you're going down to the next, which is our artists and business uses for the redevelopment area, which is really pretty innovative. As downtowns go, most downtowns don't have this, so this is a quick, so they don't have to go through the full document, or if you're looking for something, it's right there. And it's accessible and it's at your fingertips. So this whole section, then there's some links to the ferry service. It's critical for a lot of investors to understand that there's a ferry service here. You know, if they're going to build, if it's going to be mixed use, you know, what's Highlands all about. So all those dynamic links are there. I'm going to skip over Forerunner for a second, but the next thing is these are full color renderings of the concept designs from the design guidelines, so that an investor can have, I've had quite a few investors call me up, I'm looking at this. It outlines, when you go down a little further, all of the parameters. It's 15,000 square feet, 3 lots on Bay Avenue, this particular rendering. And it shows you, you know, the specs for it. So it's a way for kind of the cliff notes to get out there, the rooftop, you know, event space on top, and it goes through on a rotator. Additionally, one of the other things that we partnered with is, of course, they're an economic development driver with tourism, is why invest in Highlands? So they have a full volunteer board, which I think is admirable. You know, it's not financed by a special improvement district assessment, but they held their own. And if I don't say so myself, I was instrumental in creating it 30 years ago, and they held their own. And they still volunteer to contribute funding and whatnot. So they put a statement on there, you know, as to why Highlands. And then the other thing that I thought was extremely important, talking with Monmouth County Planning Board, is the fact that, you know, we have, I like to kind of call it, I don't know if you remember when you're in high school and there's like senior superlatives, like who's known for what. Well, this is like Highlands senior superlatives. Oh my God, my fingers, I'm sorry. And here you've got people moving in New Jersey, 10.2%, and you've got people moving in Monmouth County. I think I'm looking at that 8.5. Well, there's Highlands. So we've got an upswing of investment here. We pulled that out of the demographic data that they have. And I mean, I think it's something that people need to see. You know, working in the construction office, I see all the investment constantly in the residential properties being purchased, elevated, and reinvested in. So I think it's an important thing to share. And then additionally, some of the developers that, I'm just going to let this is a rotator also, but I mean, I had overlays on the pictures of the amount of visitors we have here. Somebody's investing here. These are the number of people that traipse through our neck of the woods, which I've been in a lot of downtowns, and this is pretty spectacular. You know, the stage is set here for who's here. So we put these rotators up. A couple of the investors I've spoken with said, oh, I didn't think it went across the highway. Oh, I didn't know this. So I feel like this galvanizes with pictures, what Highlands is all about. And a picture is worth more than a 800-page planning document. I mean, everybody wants to look at the pictures. So that's where we were headed with that. And additionally, we've outlined the resources that you have on your borough business page, all the links to NJEDA, all the links, to the state, everything that's here. So it's kind of one-stop shopping for everybody. So to me, the icing on the cake is the fact that we have a Forerunner link on here. And I'm going to use this to showcase something that we've added for Highlands. It's going to help the residents tremendously. So you can go to this button, View Forerunner. You can click here to start for anybody investing, and they can either go to the map or put an address in. But here's our new tool. All of our rules for elevation certificates, all the things we have to comply are now on here as an FAQ. They're on every page a resident goes to. They can't get lost. My email, I'm the help. So if they get lost, I get them, when we try to go back to be sure everybody's, on board with what needs to happen. Now, additionally, we're going to be getting a banner. So if we do have an important meeting in town, it's another marketing term. We're going to be able to put a banner up there. We are having some dialogue with OEM through CRS and the county about a weather app that's been put out. Coastal Coalition has been marketing this, and we're working with Tony Flores, our new OEM, to be sure we're coordinating with the county. I think Lavalette and a few of the towns have put it up there. So, I mean, it's an opportunity to put that on this website too. Additionally, of course, you can, with this, and this is, going to be on the borough's website. My fingers, I'm sorry. We can go right to the map. We can go to a specific property. Tough for me with my fingers to drive in with this keyboard, I'm sorry. But it's all there for the users. And then the other thing that I'm constantly yapping about is the custom layers. Now, Highlands has invested a tremendous amount in infrastructure with a lot of projects still defined. So all these GIS layers are site-specific on this platform. As you do other projects, they'll be on there. So if we want to say right now, I mean, somebody's looking for the zoning, here's the, let's see, with my fingers, I just left out, I'm sorry. There it is. Okay, there's your zoning map, and, you could drill in and drill out, if it's manholes, if it's storm drains. I've worked with people who are in the steep slope, and they're like, well, is there a storm drain up here? Well, we can turn that right on. Do you know what I mean? We can see how close it is to that site-specific address, as well as their site-specific elevation. So Forerunner provides that. Site-specific elevation. So we have recently, as long as we're gathered here together and we're talking about sexy stuff that we now have available for our residents, we added steep slope because steep slope is a huge issue. So now when somebody comes in, it's not going to be, we're not going to forget it because steep slope's right in there as part of our process. So, we're going to be continuing to add, we're having some dialogues. We added wetlands in there. We added the coastal barrier, which we don't have any. Working with Forerunner about adding CAFRA. We have permit by rule, too complicated to go into now, but, we can add that layer. I mean, the more information people have, the savvier they'll be with the decisions that they have to make, whether they're coming before the land use board or whether they're just coming in for a permit. Getting them educated and getting them to use these tools is going to be really important. And we were able, under the FAQs, which is, I think, premierly important, you can open the FAQs on every page. It's not just one page. If you're in there and you're dumpster diving all over, you can open that up, type a question in there. You know, I'm sure it's somewhat AI driven and you'll get the answer. But our elevation certificate management procedures that we had to adopt as part of the land use chapter 21, they're right in there. Exactly when you need an elevation certificate. So where people go to the website, sometimes they research stuff, but now it's kind of in all one kit and caboodle, which I think is a helpful thing for a resident. They have a lot of things to learn and to look at, and the more one-stop shopping that we can do, I think, totally the better. So the goal tonight is to kind of showcase this a little bit more and get the blessing that we can add this to the business page, so it'll be handy for everybody. And like I say, cross-pollinate. When people are coming in here, they can either get it on the borough site or they can get it on the business partnership. And I think we made it, you know, easy with the little frame in there. You can get to Forerunner, you can get to the redevelopment plan. We only did, you know, the Bay Avenue redevelopment plan because that is, you know, I mean, Captain's Cove is in the floodplain, but it's a different type of project. This one will have so much impact on the compliance that, you know, Highlands is able to do to make it a resilient town in the future. So that's an overview. I don't know if anybody has any questions. Yes.
Do insurance companies access this?
Everybody can access this.
We don't know if they do, but they can if they want to.
I was thinking about changing my insurance and stuff, and as soon as I said Highlands, it was like, oh.
Well, everyone needs to be educated, including insurance
Yes.
professionals. And I understand there's a banking and insurance commission under the Attorney General. I have used it periodically when you get a brick wall, because sometimes maybe they're not administering things the way the law says it is. So even though you assume, like you go to a doctor, that's the gospel according to anything, like all of us, it's better to do a little bit more checking, you know, just to see. But there is a measurement tool in here. Let me close this out. And let me see, let me just pick somebody in here. You're going to let me in with my crazy fingers. Okay. Okay. All right. Here we go. So now I have a property. I can go back to the map. It's a quick link right when you get, you know, to somebody's address to go back to the map. I can use this little measurement tool right here, and I could put a little, oh God in heaven, my fingers, I'm sorry. Let's see if I can do it. I'm sorry, there it is. All right. Well, this is a wild, but that's a measurement right there. I went from one corner of a property to another, and I've got a measurement. So I've had people up on the bluffs say, my insurance company is saying I'm in the flood zone, and you're not. But as the crow flies, you can measure from Portland Road how far away you are to the water. I mean, I think you could take a screenshot of it. I mean, there's just a lot of tools in here, you know, that are helpful to solving some of the challenges that you get, you know, in a floodplain between the insurance or between, you know, you're going before the land use board. There's just a lot of information here to get. And I think the overlays for the infrastructure is huge, because I think it just puts things in context for investors and also for the homeowners. So, and it's a great place to keep it. Everybody can access it, your residents, you know, your staff, it's just all there. So all of the permitting, substantial, as long as I'm up here, the permitting, the substantial improvement, every time somebody comes in, they say to me, oh, you don't understand, this isn't substantial improvement. Well, according to your floodplain management regulations, everything is a substantial improvement. So it goes into this platform where it monitors how close you are, according to the DEP model ordinance and ours, to the 50% of substantial improvement, so that between our floodplain administrator, Stephen Winters, who did join me to Highlands Business Partnership to further explain that evening, but it allows them to understand that once they hit that 50%, they can't just put an addition on. You've got to comply, and you've got to be in a compliance mode. You're not going to be able to move forward. So it's a great tool. We're building on it since we got it. We have more and more things. Seemingly, we're adding to it. In October, the conference will be there again, and Steve Winters and I have been selected to present during the New Jersey Association of Floodplain Managers, because we've layered it up here. I mean, we've got all the information on here, and this is the way it really becomes a really dynamic tool, is to add all this information in. So we'll be doing that in October. So
Kathy, I have a
Sure.
question. If an investor wants to buy a piece of property and build a business, but he's going to get a loan from a bank, how does that affect his ability to get flood insurance? It's true that if you have a mortgage, you cannot get the flood insurance, or FEMA will not certify it?
no, we are in an NFIP, area. That was part of the deal, I think, with bringing me on, because if we didn't start some kind of a permitting process, we were in danger of not having it, from what Region 2 had said to us. So if somebody's getting financing, if they're going to get a mortgage, they're going to need flood insurance. I haven't heard of anybody not getting it. We had a session here a year ago in June with Tyler Adler, who's a insurance kind of expert. He goes around with all the floodplain challenges, and there's insurance out there. He was the gentleman that spoke that evening that having the wall was not going to change the fact that we needed insurance. A lot of people said, oh, well, if the, Army Corps wall is there, which is not even a discussion item anymore, but nevertheless, people had that embedded in their brain, and there was no relevancy to that whatsoever. They also thought, a lot of people think this, oh, well, FEMA won't be here in 2 weeks because of what we see in the news all the time. However, New Jersey has gone ahead and, put a strategic plan together through the DEP with the Uniform Construction Code and the I codes. So all of our standards, I mean, they're not going to go away. If FEMA goes away and, there's changes to that, I mean, it's a volatile time. We all know it. Unfortunately, there's been some grants affected by things with FEMA. The hope is that we've got all this planning done and that we're going to move forward. When the right moment comes, we're going to go in because we've got our homework done. And I think that's the game, is that get the homework done with everybody that comes through the door, educate them, promote this to them, have staff use this, because it's there for everybody. Any other questions?
Got a few.
Sure.
Okay, so as far as how this helps us advance our journey towards entering the CRS, how is this helping? Because the forerunner we've had for a while, this interaction with the business partnership, does that in any way, shape, or form impact the CRS rating?
Oh, everything we do impacts our ability to get the rating. The thing is, they're not giving any new ones right now.
Fair enough. I'm just saying, like, the effort to put this out on the Highlands Business Partnership aligns to some criteria. That
Absolutely.
There is
It's marketing.
some direct, okay.
And it's also a tool for investment, so it's twofold.
Yeah.
Fair enough. And then in terms of, and I appreciate all the effort that you've done in order to advance this, so just A lot of questions. And so to the extent that the organization of that data and those links, which are predominantly borough assets, makes a lot of sense, helping folks jump to the point of the information that they really need to access. Why wouldn't we do the exact same thing on the business section of the borough site too, to make that simplification?
That's what we're doing.
We're doing.
That's what I'm here to get your
No, what you
approval.
just displayed was what's happening on the borough, the business partnership page, not what's happening on the borough site. The borough site has a business section. The content that you're linking to is hosted on the borough site, but it's not organized in the same way. So why wouldn't we be having parity between those two locations in order to say, if you're looking for this information, make it easy in both places as opposed to just on the
Yeah.
business partnership site?
That's what she's asking for our approval to do.
No, what she asked for approval was to whether or not we could put this on the business partnership site. It's already on.
No, it's
No,
not,
it's on the
no,
business
she's, it's the
partnership.
reverse.
I got their
She's
approval
asking,
already.
we don't control the business partnership
understand,
site.
but like
We
on-
control our website. She's asking for highlandsnj.gov, that we have the same links that
That we
was
have this-
already on HPP.
Those
to
links
put
are
it
already on the borough site though too. So
Not
we're just saying
in a-
we're going
not
to
in a-
organize them.
Not in the concise
In a
manner.
concise
That's all we're
fashion.
saying. We're saying we want the borough site to mirror the business partnership site.
That's why I'm here.
Understood.
with all the same information that comes back to
Yeah.
our site, but just in a more concise
And it's a
manner.
link, and you know this because you're in the business, that, you know, if one thing changes, it's all good.
No, I
Totally.
I agree.
And, you know, when you go to our redevelopment and projects, you've got to scroll through, you know, as an investor, and your name, familiarity, what's the name of the project? That's what I'm saying. I thought this, driven with more pictures, more visual, would be the answer to really getting more traffic to understand what the opportunity is in Highlands.
Awesome. And then as far as the Forerunner enhancements that we've had over time, like, do we have a planned rollout of additional functions that you're saying are going to continue to be built upon the platform? Like, what's the schedule for additional advancements?
Okay. We have added some internal routing tools for elevation certificates. They come in, the algorithms analyze all the elevation certificates. I have somebody on Waterwich just had an elevation certificate done to be sure they can put an addition on and they're the right height. And it goes through the algorithm check. It comes up with some variables. Steve and I review it as the floodplain administrator and me as CRS. You know, we work back with the homeowner. I can share that. They have actionable items in there. I can share it with the surveyor that may have 17 mistakes on it, and we're not accepting anything with 17 mistakes on it. The homeowner shouldn't have paid for it with
Yeah.
17 mistakes on it. So we're using those tools. We also now floodplain development permits, because that is a big thing for points with CRS. Do you have them? Do you have them for every single permit? So this way I can pull a table report out of there, just like this, if somebody comes in. It's not going to be when I did this 30 years ago and I left it on spreadsheets and it was all gone.
Yeah,
This will be in the cloud, this will be here no matter what.
totally appreciate that resiliency. As far as new enhancements that are getting rolled out, like, do you have additional enhancements that you have planned for Forerunner, or are you just describing everything? that's
Forerunner
already
is
on there
rolling
now?
out the enhancements. We are going to be, I'm sure, seeing some, they actually call it task management, so that for the subcode officials, I can email them directly a floodplain development permit. Everything stays in that profile for that one property.
Yeah.
So again, we're just trying to use, you know, all the tools, so it's kind of one action, and you get, you know,
So there's no lift on the borough side. We just inherit those changes whenever Forerunner publishes them.
Or if we
when they
ask,
make them available to us to use. We've somewhat been the test pilot for them because we've been driving specialty tools that we need. It's like I have, which I've got a report coming to you, compliance pipeline. I've got about 37 properties that are right now actively in an elevation mode. So I know everything that's happening with every one of those properties, what's missing, what got started with Middletown, we're trying to pick up now. I can now export that to a report. You know, I can attach it with the report I'm going to be giving to you. There will be the task management, which will allow us to, you know, get a review process. A review process is extremely cumbersome with part-time professionals. Extremely cumbersome to get it all done.
if I may, Only because, I'm not sure if you guys are aware, this is a nationwide company, Forerunner, and, we're almost usability testing them.
Yeah.
Because we use it so much, and, I mean, I use it literally every day. I think Kathy does as well.
Yeah.
And the building department uses it all the time. So then we're saying, well, wait a minute, we just had those GIS studies done last year. So then we said, here's the data, can you plot this in to Forerunner? And then all of our sanitary and storm went into that. So it's like anything that we do, we give to them and say, can you put this in now? So that's where, it's not really like a task where you're checking things off, but as we do completed projects, all that mapping can then be folded into this one huge database.
Got it.
It'll be well appreciated 30 years
Oh,
from
I
now,
guess.
50 years from now.
Well, the thing is, you're building with the technology and infrastructure that when FEMA does start with Verisk, their consultant for CRS, we will be able to move forward with the bells and whistles that we had a year ago, ready to go even more. And I do want to say that we submitted, with partnership with the state, a floodplain mitigation assistance grant, and we're not sure the status of that. It's with state police. There were 2 homeowners. We did not approach them, and the state office of OEM and state police did not say to us, hey, we're sending letters to your residents. The residents came to me at last year's Clam Festival. We were together and we're like, hey, I found out about this. So we did that submission. It's still alive, but to have all that data certainly facilitated, preparing for that grant, that we had all that data, at our fingertips, and, we can continue to build with it. Additionally, I've come across, which is a challenge, that the state has been in and out of Highlands through the years with your residents, nobody in an official borough capacity that would know, but they've elevated homes here. They've elevated homes, and we had some homes that we did not have, complete sign off on. An elevation of a home is a pretty big thing to get an inspection, of compliance on. And so we were approaching, and interesting enough, the state had all the paperwork. So I've received 3 85-page packets of everything I needed to take more properties off the National Violation Tracker system. So now I'm approaching it with, I'm going to, cross-pollinate my list with the State Police Office of OEM, and also, unfortunately, Department of Community Affairs is another whole cubbyhole that I have to go to. But if they have data that they funded it, they took it off, and I cannot fathom why they didn't share it with us, but I'm just telling you they didn't. And so it's an opportunity for me, which I know, Councilman, you've been saying, how many are you getting off? And it's hard to sometimes get that elevation certificate. Somebody new bought it and they go, God, I don't know where it is.
Yeah.
I didn't have it. And that's my ticket to ride.
Got it. Last question.
Yes.
Are there any competitors to Forerunner in that particular space in the software?
None that I have seen, and I know from representing Steve Winters, who's quite across our county here, as far as, being a floodplain administrator and construction. His opinion, it's the most dynamic software he's ever seen. It's got flexibility to make a change, kind of on a dime.
It's impressive, and it's visually very, very compelling. Just in the event that, for whatever odd reason,
Yeah.
software companies, like any companies, can go out of business, where would our data be in the event that they went under?
Well, our data would be here.
It's hosted in the cloud, though, right? We're
Yeah.
providing it to them, and it's in their cloud.
Mhm.
So just that.
They would have to give us
portion.
the data dumped back to us.
Yeah, we have an agreement.
Okay.
I mean, they're not going to take our data. There's no
I'm not worried about them
you know.
taking our data. I'm worried about vendor lock-in, where we
Yeah.
basically provide everything into their system, and now we're basically locked into them and have no ability to switch if there was a cost constraint that we wanted to explore.
Yeah, and I'm just going to say that I see it from where I am right now. When you compare the cost for Forerunner with the cost of some of the other systems that you have here, I've never quite seen anything so cost effective. I'm going to be honest. We have more than almost unlimited users, Nancy's on, I've got the assessor on. I mean, so many of the other companies, it's like you got to pay for another whole user. So they've been, and they're all over the United States. We do webinars with Monmouth County all the time, whether it's Texas, Mississippi, Kentucky. So they are across the nation, and they are, I think, really cutting edge with the ArcGIS technology. We have had some nimble recoveries because the state has mandated condos, all the lot and blocks be redone. And so I know the tax office is having some extreme challenges because the former lot and block, it's not traceable with some of the Mod 4 and the consolidated records. And they sailed through this. I probably had 5 months of problems with Monmouth County on the phone continually over the data grab every month. And they got their ArcGIS person, Michael Hanlon, on board, and we've been good to go all along. But the condos are going to wreak havoc with us for a while simply because they, all of a sudden everybody has the same block and lot, and it's just the qualifier where everybody's using their address, their unique address. So, you know what I mean? It's going to be a learning curve for a while. But Edmunds has been involved working with our whole team here. So it's like if it happens to me, it happens to everybody else too, because they're working off that Monmouth County data that's updated like every night.
Awesome. That's all I got.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you again for all the work you're doing.
You're welcome. All right. Thank you very much.
Next, we have Mayor's report.
Yes. For Shadowlawn, we're still in negotiations for the developers agreement, so we did another conditional redevelopers agreement on June 18th. Nothing to report on Coves as of yet. Hopefully we'll hear something soon. For the Bay Avenue redevelopment, we are still in negotiations with the property owner of 289. We've also in June, I've spoken with a number of interested parties, but no one has pulled the trigger yet to start the whole process. New business, the Honorable Plant is opened on June 9th and then had their grand opening on July 5th. If anyone's around tomorrow at 5 p.m., Jem's Bagels is having their grand opening. And that should be a lot of fun. Going into emergency services, incident reports for first aid was 37, fire 33, and police was 922. Code enforcement, 15 summons issues, 5 warnings, 24 reports, 18 inspections, 12 permits, and 5 OPRA. For the building department, there were 73 inspections, of which 53 passed, 17 failed. 3 were not ready, and 20 permits were issued. For current project updates, the sidewalks and punch list items for Central Beach and Ocean were all completed on June 18th. For Portland Road, all of the drainage work is completed, and we are looking to mill and pave end of August, maybe beginning of September. We're going to try to get it done before school opens and that disruption happens. For the Shore Drive pedestrian safety improvements, which is installing sidewalks from Waterwitch to Matthews from a DOT grant, that was largely completed by the end of June. We are going to wait until we're out of this terrible weather and plant those remaining 4 trees on Central Avenue in the fall, when it's a better time to plant trees. We kicked off the Marine Place Elevated Walkway East. That started with some ADA work on June 12th. Also Washington Avenue paving, and that's milling pave. Of Washington Avenue from Marine Place to Cheerful Place, and those ADA also started on June 12th, and that should be completed hopefully by the end of the month, weather permitting. Jumping back to Marine Place, we are hoping to get that done before Labor Day, so we'll have some good weather and time to actually enjoy that section of Marine Place. For the remaining planned project for this year is the Frank Hall Park updates along with Overlook Park creation that went out to bid. Some of them came back, and now we are just looking them over, so it's likely to be awarded by the next council meeting, maybe a special, I don't know, we have to take a look at it. All of the other grants won, we are pretty much waiting for DEP approval to do the Linden, Waterwitch Bay, and Snug Harbor drainage improvements. So we just have to wait for DEP's approval of the project before we can go out to bid. The Grand Tour drainage improvements, that work was moved into 2026. Because we didn't want to have disruption on Portland Road and Grand Tour, because that would have been havoc at the high school. Trying to see, we are looking at different ways that we could possibly get some funding for our new first aid building. We're also looking at modular solutions for that. Unfortunately, we did not get the grant from T-Mobile. We were not awarded. It's very competitive. They only do 5 grants of $50,000 per quarter. So what we're going to do is the county has that big 250 whatever, and they've got some grants percolating over there to celebrate our nation's birthday, and what better way than to have a beautiful bronze statue of our hero, Joshua Huddy. Everything else is in permitting, and that is my update for the month of June.
The only thing I have to offer is as you know, we're in the state health benefits plan, and in the coming weeks, we're probably going to have to look at options. They're looking to increase all the municipalities by about 36.5% from the beginning of the year. So we've requested our information from them. I'm going to have to sit down with the unions and see if there's anything we can do, if there's other companies we can go with directly, or maybe we can go back to the Central Jersey Health Insurance Fund, or maybe the state will cut down on the increase, but I'll let you know as we go forward.
Wow, 36%, that's incredible.
Why so high? I mean,
What was it this last year to this year? 22, right?
Yeah. So that's 50%. Yikes.
Does anyone else have anything else that they want to add before we go to public portion?
no.
No? Okay. Okay. We have the public portion statement, please.
Public portion. Individuals wishing to address the council shall be recognized by the presiding officer and shall give their name, address, and the group, if any, they represent. Although the council encourages public participation, it reserves the right, through its presiding officer, to terminate remarks to and/or by any individual not in keeping with the conduct of a proper and efficient meeting. If any individual refuses to conduct themselves in a proper manner, they will be removed from the meeting. The council will not, during the public portion of this meeting, discuss matters involving employment, appointment, terminations of employment, negotiations, terms and conditions of employment, evaluation of the performance of, promotion, or discipline of any specific or prospective or current employee. There's a 3-minute time limit for your comments.
Does Anyone have anything, question, comment? Okay, could you please just come to the,
Good evening. Kyle Kmetz. I live at 42 Ocean Ave rear.
okay?
This past weekend, I received a parking ticket. I park in between the people who live in front of me, 42, and 50 Ocean. I've lived there for going on 8 years this coming March. When they were doing the paving and the line striping and everything that had occurred for, I believe it was HLND 2303, for, I believe it was the sanitary storm project. Before that, the section of curb where I park has never been painted. It's painted yellow now. I couldn't park there for a year because there was a stanchion. I get it, they were doing the sewer things, that's, it's understandable. But I'm just curious if I could take a look at some of the engineering plans to see if painting that curb could have possibly been a mistake. Because no one, even myself or my neighbors who live in front of me, were not, notified that, hey, you can no longer park here. I don't see it as a kind of disturbance to the view of the stop sign. I don't see any, personally, and I absolutely could be wrong, but I don't see any type of disturbance as far as traffic on a one-way street going to Bay or anything of that sort. And I'd sent a few OFER requests to see if I could take a look at some of the engineering plans for that. Unfortunately, on my behalf, I had worded them incorrectly, so I got the bid package. But ultimately, I was just curious if I could take a look at the engineering plans. I believe it was from H&L out of Hazlet, I believe.
H2M. H2M?
Thank you, H2M.
I have no problem with you looking at plans. I'm sure they're like, the plan set is
Oh, yeah,
huge.
no, I do inside sales at Mazda, so I'm used to looking at bids and used to
Sure.
looking at projects and plans. I'm on Construct Connect every day, multiple hours a day, so I can look through them fairly quickly.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm sure we've got a roll, sitting around somewhere. But I don't understand why it would be a yellow curb when it's one out from it's nowhere near the stop sign.
Yeah, and there's a driveway in between the stop sign as well, so I was curious, and there's no, the water connect has always been there. It was there before the curbing and the sidewalk was redone as well, so I was curious. When I came back from work one day and it was done, I was like,
Okay.
painted yellow.
Yeah, let's just call Mr. Michello.
Can I leave my business card? Yeah. Just got my cell phone on and everything. That's about it. That's all I got.
Okay, thank you. That makes no sense.
Hello, I'm Jessie Sutherland with the New Jersey League of Conservation Voters. I'm not a resident of Highlands, but I've been working a lot with Highlands. Given the Williams-Transco-Nessie pipeline project that's been proposed, I just wanted to say thank you for your opposition to the pipeline. I also wanted to bring to your attention that as of today, the New Jersey DEP public comment window has opened for the project. We have 30 days to give any public comments, and we are encouraging all towns to request public hearings on the pipeline. We know that when Transco submitted their applications, they said that there don't need to be more public hearings on this pipeline because they had some previously in 2017. But I think that all the towns should ask for public hearings. We have a lot of new things that have happened since then, and the pipeline was denied previously 3 times by the state, so I think that we should, ask the DEP why this is happening again. But that's all from me today.
Thank you so much, Jessica. Anyone else? No? Okay, then we'll close the public portion.
Executive session. Executive session will be held following the regular council meeting. Prior to each executive session, the Borough Council will convene an open session, at which time a resolution will be adopted in accordance with NJSA 10:4-13. No formal action will be taken during executive session. Resolution to enter executive session. Be it resolved that the following portion of this meeting shall not be open to the public. Be it further resolved that private consideration is deemed required and is permitted because of the following noted exceptions set forth in the Act: litigation, attorney-client privilege noise ordinance, attorney-client privilege Frank Hall Park and Overlook Park Improvements Project. Be it further resolved that it is anticipated that the matters to be considered in private may be disclosed to the public at a later date when the need for privacy will no longer exist.
I'll make that offer.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Executive session entered in at 8:02. Please make your way out. Okay?
And I motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Meeting adjourned at 8:58. Yay.
No, it was actually higher.
Oh, yeah, let me give this to her.
You're gonna get it.
Oh, Donna has it. Oh, my God, I'm freezing. How